With new car prices being as high as they are in 2023, it's crucial for manufacturers to have vehicles that are both affordable and desirable, and Subaru actually has a lot of experience in this area, as the Crosstrek not only is the best-selling model in the Subaru lineup, but is the best-selling subcompact crossover here in the US. And it's really important for buyers who can't max out their budgets past $30,000. And what the Crosstrek is giving you is a lot of versatility and practicality. Now, the Impreza, though, has taken a back seat to the Crosstrek because the Crosstrek does give you a bit more capability. But 2024 is a bit different, where this vehicle does get a new trim, which is the RS, and also because it is affordable, buyers are coming back to this hatchback. And that's why I am here. I want to go over the 2024 Impreza RS, check out what is new for this generation, check out the exterior, the interior, and take it out for a test drive, and also see why, if you are looking at buying an affordable car right now in 2023, but you want one that is fun and also gives you modern technology, then maybe taking a look at the 2024 Subaru Impreza RS might be a great decision. Now, before we get into this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to Subaru of Wakefield in Wakefield, Massachusetts for allowing me to do this review. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Subaru inventory. And speaking of inventory, Subaru of Wakefield is home to the largest selection of Subarus in New England. If you're looking at buying a new Solterra, maybe a Forester, Outback, or of course even the Impreza, Subaru of Wakefield is your home for everything when it comes to Subarus. Also, of course, they have a wide selection of used vehicles as well, so new or used, definitely check out what they have. Also, as you guys know, Subaru of Wakefield is very active in their local community, and they work with charities throughout the year. And this month is Subaru Loves to Care. And Subaru of Wakefield will be partnering with the Leukemia Lymphoma Society and also Melrose Wakefield Hospital. Well, they'll be donating blankets to leukemia and lymphoma patients. They'll also be matching up to $150 donations, and that's one of the reasons why I love coming back to Subaru of Wakefield, because they truly care about the community that they're in, but also they work with those great charities throughout the year. Also, before we get started, make sure to hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you're notified every time a new video goes live on the channel. And now, let's check out the all-new 2024 Subaru Impreza RS. For a brand that's positioned itself as offering an array of capable crossovers that are both practical and versatile with the Forester and Outback, Subaru has become a viable option for consumers who demand affordability in their next vehicle. The Crosstrek surge to popularity here in the US may have caught everyone by surprise, and all it took was a stronger powertrain to completely change the perception towards Subaru's subcompact offering. The Impreza is aiming to achieve the same goal, as the RS trim makes its return to the lineup for the first time in almost 2 decades. And with buyers wanting better performance and modern technology, it's the RS that could single-handedly revive this nameplate and make it an enticing, affordable compact car in 2023. Starting off with pricing, the RS comes in at just under $28,000, which for the time being is the top trim currently offered for the 2024 model. With the Crosstrek becoming Subaru's best-selling vehicle, the Impreza has been repositioned slightly to reinforce the affordable part of the lineup. But also, with the sedan being dropped for 2024, the hatchback is now your entry point into the Subaru family of vehicles. Fundamentally speaking, the Impreza has gone relatively untouched besides receiving some much-needed mechanical improvements to the chassis and suspension that elevates the driving dynamics, much like we had experienced with the Crosstrek. However, dimensions-wise, it's mostly the same compared to last generation, giving passengers the same amount of interior space as last year. Yet, where the Impreza RS is drawing quite a bit of attention from consumers and journalists is with the redesign to the road presence, as it receives styling cues from the WRX, especially for the steering responsive LED headlight housings, and even the athletic body lines that weren't present for prior model years. While not as visually noticeable, the hexagonal front grille is more angular than before, and that's been one minor detail that Subaru has been working on with their recent refreshed products. With the RS, you'll also have LED fog lights to provide better visibility at night when traveling on dimly lit back roads. Moving over to the side profile, the RS will be sitting on 18-inch dark gray finish alloy wheels, which surprisingly didn't negatively affect ride quality compared to the 17s that come standard on the Sport. And that might be due to the 10% increase in rigidity to the chassis, but also the further development of interior quality and improved sound deadening. For the RS, you'll have gloss black side mirror caps and side skirts, which match the body color on our model today, and you'll have blind spot detection for added safety. Then coming around to the back, the rear fascia receives the exact same facelift as the Crosstrek, with the reshaped taillight housings that follow a similar design path to the Ascent and Forester, and larger reflectors on the bumper. Overall, the Impreza hatchback for 2024 still has the same roofline and similar body lines to last generation, retaining its identity and compact size. Under the hood, new for the Impreza is the 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine that also powers non-turbocharged Foresters and Outbacks, producing 182 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque, and as always, it will be paired with a CVT. For those wondering, the 2-liter 4-cylinder that was standard across the board for last generation does transition to 2024, but we think you'll be more inclined to spend a little extra for a power plant that brings a sportier vibe and better overall responsiveness. Compared to rivals that also use naturally aspirated powertrains, the Impreza RS is spry and quick, bringing another dimension to this hatchback besides just being practical and affordable. Adding to the appeal, Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system does come standard, whereas rivals will be front-wheel drive based, and you'll be paying extra for that improved year-round versatility. Finally, for fuel economy, you're looking at right around 26 miles per gallon in the city and 33 miles per gallon on the highway. Stepping inside, quite a bit has changed for the Impreza, including the cloth upholstery for the RS that has contrast stitching and red accents to reiterate that the RS isn't your typical Impreza hatch. For our model, both seats were manually adjustable, but through the optional $2,000 package, the driver's side will have 10-way power adjustability, and you'll also receive a power moonroof and the upgraded Harman Kardon premium audio system. For all RS models, occupants will have 2-level heated front seats for added comfort. In front of you, Subaru has remained firm on not integrating a full digital gauge cluster, and just like last generation, you can scroll through information by using the buttons mounted on the left side of your leather-wrapped steering wheel. The major improvement and alteration to the cabin centers around the new 11.6-inch touchscreen, with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility, which replaces the dual-screen setup found on last year's model. Identical to the Subaru Crosstrek and other vehicles with this head unit, the buttons for the dual-zone climate control will be mounted on both sides of the screen, and at the bottom, you can control the AC and fan speed. You also still have physical dials for the volume and tuning, and if you remember the multicolor information display that was placed above the Starlink infotainment system for 2023, most of that info you scrolled through is now placed at the top of this user interface. Just like the 6 and 8-inch touchscreens in past years, you'll have quick access icons that efficiently get you to different menus, where you can adjust safety and vehicle settings, including the EyeSight driver assist technology systems. As always, you will have a rear backup camera, and standard is rear cross traffic alert. Below, you'll find a USB-C and USB input to go along with the wireless phone charging pad. Then making our way to the center console, Subaru made some slight cosmetic tweaks, but you'll still have the switches for the 2-level heated seats placed to the right of the gear shifter. Then to round out the front seating area, for the center storage compartment, you'll have plenty of room for smaller items, including a wallet or loose change. Now moving on to the second row, we're going to sit off on the passenger side. And this seat has been adjusted all the way back and is somewhat on a recline. And I have a good amount of legroom here. When you take a look at interior dimensions and overall legroom, not much has changed compared to last generation. Subaru has retained this hatchback's practicality, and we saw that with the Crosstrek as well. If you're looking for an affordable small car that is family friendly, the Impreza is definitely one to consider because legroom is more than adequate. Also with headroom, even though you do have that car-like roofline, I think there's plenty of room if you're around the height of 5'8" or 5'9". You won't be hitting your head on the headliner at all. Also what I like too is that with the RS, you have this cloth upholstery that provides a lot of cushioning and also a good amount of support. So when your driver is on those winding back roads, you won't be swaying too much back here at all. Then moving on to the center seat, you are going to have some great placements for your feet, but there is an aggressive center hump, which will take away from legroom and possibly shoulder room as well. And as I talk about quite a bit with vehicles in this segment, it might be a bit of a squeeze to try fitting in that third person. That's why I would say go with the Forester if you feel the Crosstrek and the Impreza just isn't enough for you. However, if you are strictly looking at buying a car under $30,000, I think this is still a great option if you just have two people in the second row at all times. Then moving on to the driver's side, the seat is adjusted to someone of my height, around 5'5", and I have a good amount of legroom here. Actually, I have plenty of legroom. Now, of course, most likely you're not going to be sitting behind someone around my height, but I still think that if you have someone around the height of maybe 5'9", 5'10", everyone should be comfortable back here for sure. Now, one thing that was really great to see on the Crosstrek last month, and it makes its way into the Impreza, you do have a USB-C and USB input, and also, surprising to see, I'm actually a bit surprised here, you do get a center armrest with two cup holders. Now, coming around to the back, of course you're not going to receive a power liftgate for a hatchback. But inside, behind the second row seat, you're looking at right around 20.4 cubic feet of room, which is identical to the Crosstrek. Now, of course, both vehicles are exactly the same. It just boils down to if you want better versatility with the 8.7 inches of ground clearance that you would get with the Crosstrek. But for the Impreza and for a hatchback in this market, this falls right in line with other vehicles in this price range and would be better than the Volkswagen GTI. Now, of course, most likely you're not going to be cross-shopping an RS with a GTI, but if that is on your radar, the Impreza will be a bit more family-friendly in that regard. You have plenty of space for travel cases, but also grocery shopping as well. I was able to fit all my camera gear today, no problem. So that's 2 bags of camera gear, a gimbal box, and a tripod, and I also could have ran some errands afterwards as well. Then with the second row seats folded, you're looking at right around 54, 55 cubic feet of room, once again falling right in line with all the rivals in this market. So that's one of the reasons why I think Subaru cut the sedan out of the lineup for the Impreza for 2024, just because with the hatchback, this just makes more sense in its price range, especially under $30,000. Then on both sides of the rear cargo area, you'll have some cubbies for some smaller items, such as a couple water bottles, car detail equipment, or maybe even a first aid kit. Then beneath the floor mat, you are going to have some additional storage, but also this is home to your Fix-A-Flat kit. Then finally, you will have a rear cargo cover, which will keep all your valuable items out of sight. So if you are like me and you have camera gear or anything else of value, you can leave them back here and have that peace of mind knowing that nobody will be able to peek in and steal what you have. And then once you're done, just grab onto the handle and close the hatch. Alright, so let's take the 2024 Subaru Impreza RS out for a test drive. As I talked about throughout this entire review, there's a lot of similarities between the Impreza and the Crosstrek. They're built on the same platform, same rigidity added for 2024, so a 10% stiffness to the ride quality, and also you do get the dual pinion steering rack from the WRX. And all of these changes are immediately noticeable when you do get behind the wheel. Also, for the first time, at least for this particular generation and platform, you get the 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine under the hood as an option. Now, I have no issue with the 2-liter. However, I think the 2.5 is giving you far more at around $30,000. Now, of course, both powertrains work very well for this car because of its weight and of its size. And since this is the same powertrain that is under the hood of the Forester and Outback, you're going to have the same confidence when you are getting on the highway or even just driving around in the suburbs like I'm on right now. Now, Subaru has always prioritized interior insulation and making sure that the cabins are very quiet. And this just seems to be one step above of where we were last year at this time. The ride quality is very smooth. Also, of course, when it comes to that sound deadening, it's pretty quiet in here. The 2.5 liter really doesn't make that much noise when you are tooling around town. And it just feels like a really nice and refined little vehicle at this price point. So let's go around this rotary here, see what the performance is like. Not even full throttle. Love the steering input as well. It's not as vague as it was before. There is some level of weight to it. I'm not going to say this is like a WRX at all, but it's certainly more athletic and agile for sure. Nice strong brakes as well. Oh, the confidence here. You can throw it around the corners. Also, it does feel sportier than it did before. It's quicker. And this is a really fun little hatchback. Now, even though you do have the CVT, it does mimic the gear shifts. And it just feels like a traditional automatic. And I've talked about this quite a bit with Subaru, that the 2.5 and 2.4 pair so much better with the CVT than the 2 liter. And that is no different for the Impreza. And going over some of the bumps and imperfections on this roadway, you're really not feeling them at all. I'm not getting thrown around. And the Impreza does feel pretty composed right now on this very uneven pavement. It's handling the imperfections very well. But this is the ultimate test right here when we get on the highway. Is the Impreza a capable and confidence-inspiring compact car? There we go. There we go. Now, I'm not saying that the Impreza is a quick or an engaging little hatchback here. It's not like a Volkswagen GTI, but that's not what the Impreza is trying to be. This is going up against the naturally aspirated, powered Mazda 3 and also the Civic hatchback. And I gotta be honest here, giving this car 182 horsepower and the 2.5 is going to pay immediate dividends for this car. As we saw with the Subaru Crosstrek, the minute that Subaru dropped in that 2.5, sales figures skyrocketed. And I have a feeling that's exactly what's going to happen to this car as well. Because when you take a look at vehicles priced under $30,000, a lot of them are underpowered. A lot of them are begging for a better engine, but also they leave far more to be desired. And I think for the last generation, the same could have been said for the Impreza, because the 2 liter is perfect if you're buying a car at around $22,000, $23,000. But at around $30,000 for the RS, this just makes more sense. Because the CVT isn't droning, because you're not sitting there with the uneven shifts or the mimic shifts that you're going to get from a lot of CVTs out there, what you have is a small compact car that does feel enjoyable, that does give you the power that you're looking for when you are entering highways or you're passing slower drivers. So much confidence in the corners. There's not a lot of body roll at all. And at this point, I think Subaru is just teasing us right now. Like, they could give us a WRX hatchback if they really wanted to. And I'd be all for it. I've tried steering away from the same talking points that a lot of journalists have towards the Impreza RS. But the longer I've spent time with this car, the more I look at it, and then especially being behind the wheel, I think we need a WRX hatchback for sure. it just feels so much more planted than the last generation. On throttle, up to speed, and typical traffic. Every single time I do a review of a Subaru, this section of I-95 has to be backed up. It never fails. Now, since we are in typical Boston traffic, might as well go over the vision that you have here to work with behind the wheel of the Impreza. So just like with the Crosstrek, nice panoramic view. A-pillars are thin, which is typical for a car in this segment, and also with this vehicle being more compact. Then looking at your side mirrors, they are placed in a good spot. I can't see what's in my blind spots. Also, what I love too is that Subaru has changed up where they placed their blind spot detection. There's a small little emblem on the mirror cap, and I really like that. It's not too aggressive. It's not really in my peripherals that much, but when I do see it, I don't need to look too far over to my left or my right. I really like that. And then also another thing too is I don't like having that blind spot detection on the mirror. That's just too distracting, but this, I do like it. And then looking out back, you have a nice rear window there where you can see what's directly behind you, even with the rear headrests in the way. So a good amount of vision. So now that we're back on suburban roads, let's discuss the interior quality and if Subaru has done enough to make this car a bit more competitive than in prior model years. Now, for a car priced at around $30,000, you're not going to have soft touch materials on the dashboard or door panels. But because Subaru modernized the cabin with the larger infotainment system, this does feel like a scaled down version of a Subaru Outback. Also, because with the RS trim, you have these very aggressive sport seats that do hug you and support you very well, it does incentivize you to have a bit more fun behind the wheel, and it pairs up very well with the stiffened chassis and suspension. Also, of course, with the 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine, this car is just all around more peppy, athletic, and exciting. And I just feel that with the 2.5, it brings so much to the table for this hatchback that was really lacking in the past. Now, like I said before in the last review I did with the Impreza for last generation, the 2-liter four-cylinder engine is more than enough, especially for a car priced at around $25,000, $26,000, especially for people who are just looking for affordable transportation that's practical as well. But because the Subaru Crosstrek has just become this vehicle that everyone wants to buy and own because of the versatility and capability, it's kind of made the Impreza not all that appealing in the lineup anymore. But for 2024, they certainly changed that. And as I talked about earlier, when I take a look at this car from the outside and how the handling is so much better, it's like Subaru is trying to tell us that they want to give us a WRX, but they want to see if there's any desire for it, if there's any market for it. I think absolutely. But in the RS trim, this definitely can appeal to a lot of shoppers. And if you're somebody that's looking for a mid-tier or top-tier trim, the RS, I think, is a great option because you get super symmetrical all-wheel drive system coming standard, which a lot of hatchbacks in this market are just not going to give you at all. But also, you still get a vehicle that retains its overall practicality and family friendliness while still giving you a vehicle that is fun and I think inspiring to own, especially for people who are not looking for a turbocharged four-cylinder engine or really the fastest 0 to 60 times. Ultimately, what you're getting here with the RS is a suitable daily driver. You have all that space behind the second row seats, you have a good amount of legroom for taller passengers, and also now you have a car that has the modern technology that fits the price point but also the segment as well, and you get a vehicle that has improved in the performance department. And I think when you tally up all the positives for this car now and all the things that Subaru has changed for the Impreza, this is now going to be a great option for somebody in a price range between $25,000 and $30,000. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know in the comment section below if you really like what the Impreza is offering for 2024. I have to be honest, I love the 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine. I also like the fact that we have the new modern technology as well, and the different suspension. Altogether, this car just feels more sporty, it feels more appealing, and also, in my opinion, it's more enticing, especially as price point. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Also make sure to follow me on Instagram at Boston Autoblog so you can see what I'm up to and what vehicles I'll be featuring in the future. And I will see you guys next time.